Welcome to the Slut Next Door podcast, where we dive deep into desire, unravel kinks and fetishes, and explore the deliciously naughty side of self discovery. I'm Beatrix Vale, an erotic audio creator, and your guide to all things kinky and curious. So let's begin. Welcome, lovely listeners, to a special episode on erotic hypnosis for beginners. Whether you're new to the world of erotic hypnosis or maybe just curious about it, you're in the right place. And if you are a seasoned hypno fan, I think you'll still enjoy this episode because it's going to go over the very basic foundational pillars of erotic hypnosis. But if you're wondering what exactly is erotic hypnosis, how it works, why it's enticing to so many people, this episode will answer those questions. And if you're wondering why I'm qualified to create an episode on this topic, I have spent the past few years studying and experimenting and practicing erotic hypnosis as a hypnodom. I have various hypnosis or erotic hypnosis files. And if you've not heard my work, you can, of course, click the link in the bio to find where I post a lot of free hypno files and then also have some things behind paywalls, kind of more of my premium files. But we're going to be covering these three topics by the end. You should know what erotic hypnosis is and how it works, the basics of erotic hypnosis, how to guide someone into a hypnotic state deep in the trance, and begin to use suggestions to enhance sexual arousal or play. And then finally, some beginner friendly techniques that you can try with erotic hypnosis audio files. Now, if you're new to erotic hypnosis, this might sound intimidating at first, but trust me, hypnosis is all about creating a safe, consensual space where you can explore desires, surrender control, and tap into a very deep, erotic, pleasurable zone. So let's dive into the basics together with what erotic hypnosis is and how it works. Now, all of the knowledge that I'm presenting to you today is all based around my experience, all of my studying with erotic hypnosis, and truly just kind of captures what I've learned and acquired from various sources and, most importantly, experience. I recently, in my loyal fans site, I posted a picture. I was going through this old notebook that I have. I'm a big note taker. Like if I write something down or if I type it out, I'm going to more likely remember it. And so I found my notes and I remember this notebook specifically. It was the first book I had ever read on erotic hypnosis. And so you can see, notes and bullet points that I made. So, yeah, it was really cool to find that. But like I said, a lot of this information is just kind of like a hodgepodge of research that I've done on my own, and I've done a lot of it. So let's get started. What is erotic hypnosis? So, at its core, it's a guided mental relaxation designed to enhance sexual arousal, deepen desires, and also explore fantasies through the power of the mind. It's a form of hypnosis that focuses on pleasure. So, whether it's about arousing the listener, enhancing like sensory experiences, or tapping into deeper sexual desires. Now, unlike traditional hypnosis, which is like can be used for therapeutic purposes like quitting smoking or reducing anxiety, erotic hypnosis is all about exploring and amplifying the sexual and emotional aspects of the mind. And you'll find a lot online where erotic hypnotists will say, this is recreational hypnosis. And I totally get that term because it's not therapeutic, even though I do strongly believe that even erotic hypnosis can help to reduce stress and such because you're really taking time out of your day to quiet your mind, a lot like if you were to meditate. But, it's not, it doesn't have therapeutic purposes. So I do see it as recreational, something that you do for fun. But when you listen to an erotic hypnosis file, what you're essentially doing is entering a deep, relaxed, trance like state where your subconscious mind becomes more open and receptive to suggestions. Our conscious mind can be very mm, like the director of a play. It's making decisions on what's happening in each scene, guiding the actors, calling the shots. And in this metaphor, your subconscious mind can kind of represent the actors that are performing based on scripts they learn over time. But, there's not a play without the director, and also not a play without the actors. But hypnosis is all about putting that conscious brain away to the side and really speaking to the subconscious part of your brain. In the hypnosis, suggestions can range from sensations of warmth and arousal to instructions that encourage certain behaviors or focus on specific fantasies. So, here are some things that hypnosis is not. So, kind of addressing the misconceptions about hypnosis. Hypnosis is not sleep, although some people do fall asleep during hypnosis files. I've heard that a lot. Like, I was so relaxed, I fell right asleep, and that's not a bad thing. But when you fall into hypnosis, it's not falling asleep. Although you will hear the word sleep in a lot of the files, especially to trigger you into that trance like state. A common trigger used is sleep or deep sleep, but it's not sleep. Hypnosis is not an abnormal state of mind. We go into trance many times in our day and naturally without anyone pushing you into it. If you've ever taken a really long road trip and you kind of just get so relaxed, your mind takes a step down. You don't really have any active running thoughts and you're not driving off the road. You're not doing anything dangerous. Like you're driving like you normally do, but you kind of get lost in your mind a little bit. Has that ever happened to you? Like an hour went by of driving and you're like, where was I? Because I know I was driving. I know I was here. I just don't remember. Like, I don't remember the past hour. When we watch movies or read a book, you're often in a trance-like state. You're lost in those things, and the active part of your brain took the back seat. You're not having those active thoughts. So it's not abnormal to participate in hypnosis. You also cannot get stuck in hypnosis. You might fall asleep, like I said, if you're tired enough, but it's not like you're going to be stuck in some trance-like state. You cannot get stuck. And Hypnosis is not particularly mind control, but there can be elements of that, and we'll get into that. But what really sets erotic hypnosis apart from regular hypnotic type experiences is the focus on sexuality and arousal. Traditional hypnosis, like I said earlier, might involve helping you overcome a fear or change a habit, like smoking or something, where erotic hypnosis is designed to enhance your sexual pleasure. But here's the key is that you're always in control. And I'm laughing because all of my files, any file that I've ever made, I'm really focusing on you're not in control. But that's like part of the experience with hypnosis is losing control a bit. But in reality, you are in control. So, erotic hypnosis is not about being made to do something you don't want to do. No one made you press play on the file, all about the safety and ethical sides of kink. But when you press play, you're pressing play because you're into the topic, right? Um, but it's about being in a deeply relaxed state where your mind is more open and suggestible. You're still aware of what's happening and you can stop the process at any time because consent, as always, is a top priority, right? But when you're listening to that file, like nothing is going to happen that you don't want to not happen. And if it did, let's just say it did, you should know that you can always press stop because you consented to the file and you continue to consent while listening. So you are allowed to press stop. You are allowed to open your eyes and, come out of that deeply relaxed state. But when you listen to erotic hypnosis files, the hypnotist, if you will, whether that's me or another creator, they are going to guide you through a process of relaxation. And most of the time, you're going to hear very soothing words, a very calming voice, a sense of safety. Mhm. And once you're deeply relaxed, that's when the fun happens. The hypnotist will begin to introduce suggestions. And the suggestions might be about how relaxed and aroused you feel, or specific instructions that help you deepen the experience. I don't know if you've ever listened to guided meditation files. That's something I've recently done, and I have really, really enjoyed them. And throughout them, I'm thinking, man, this is pretty much exactly what I do, but just more sexual and erotic. That essentially, in my opinion, is what erotic hypnosis is guided meditation. And then on top of that, using guided meditation to tap into some areas of your sexual brain um, that are fun. And I feel like it's a really great way to really dive deep into a particular fantasy or a particular kink that you're into. But now that we've covered what erotic hypnosis is, we're going to look deeper into the structure of erotic hypnosis because if you're like me, I like to understand things, how things work before I consume them or before I get into it. I want to know what's behind the screen. So this may help you in knowing that basically how a file is structured. How does it lead you into that state of deep arousal? So, first, you have something called the induction that's getting you into that trance like state. It's the first step of any true hypnosis session. The induction usually begins with some calming words, maybe even some soft music or binaural beats, just gentle sounds. But the goal here is to help you let go of stress, let go of distractions, outside thoughts. You might be asked to focus on your breath. And that is part, again, to me, why it always comes back to meditation, because that's what you're focusing on when you're doing, a guided meditation. Um, you'll often hear how the hypnotist is having you notice the relaxation happening in your body. Or they may have you imagine yourself in a peaceful place. But the desired outcome is that as you listen, your body naturally begins to relax and your mind becomes more open. And then, secondly, kind of the second stage is deepening the hypnosis or the trance state. So once you are in that relaxed state, the next step is to deepen it. And this is where the hypnotist is going to take you even further into that relaxed state, helping you go from light trance to deeper. And in this phase, there might be countdowns, visualizations, a body scan, which is just kind of having you notice different parts of your body, um, or something like with every breath you take, you go deeper, feeling more relaxed, more comfortable, or something like imagine a wave of relaxation washing over you, starting at the top of your head, flowing down to your toes. And these techniques are used to help you become more absorbed in the experience, more open to those suggestions that are coming. And for you, as you deepen into the trance, your mind does start to slow down. Your body will become more relaxed. And this makes it easier for you to focus on the hypnotic suggestions that follow. So, following the hypnosis deepening, you're going to get to the exciting part, the suggestions. And this is where erotic hypnosis really starts to work its magic. So, in this state, after you are well relaxed, well deep into trance, the hypnotist will begin to introduce specific suggestions that are designed to amplify your sexual experience. And as I've mentioned, they might involve arousal, sensory enhancement, or a fantasy. So, here, one example would be a hypnotist suggesting that your body starts to feel more and more sensitive. And, or they might suggest that you're becoming more deeply aroused with every breath. And I feel like there is some wordplay happening, and I feel like there's a lot of manifesting happening. Kind of like, don't touch the red button, don't touch the red button. You're going to want to touch the red button because I just keep saying it. The same thing happens in hypnophiles. Um, Another example is that the hypnotist might guide you to imagine a specific fantasy. And to me, this is where it gets really, really good, because it turns it into a more vivid mental experience. And the beauty of erotic hypnosis and the suggestions inside of them is that they tap into your subconscious mind, which is more receptive during trance. So, this means that the experiences feel incredibly real, whether you're feeling heightened sensations in your body, imagining a scenario, or just simply enjoying the deep relaxation and arousal that hypnosis can bring. It it just makes it more raw, more deep, vivid. And like for beginners as well, it's important to know that suggestions, especially in beginner friendly files, are always gentle and respectful. They're crafted to enhance your experience, not to control you or push you into anything you're uncomfortable with. But erotic hypnosis at its best is really just a form of playful mental exploration that enhances your desires rather than forcing them. So, back to the hypnosis structure. After those suggestions and such happen, there may be a come ending. There may not be, but at the very, very end, there is going to be a piece where you're brought back, after the suggestions are given, you've explored the whole experience. The hypnotist will typically guide you back to full awareness and just to help you become more alert. Because if you lay there with your eyes closed and you've been relaxed, you're going to most likely feel a little bit groggy. So, some files, some hypnotists will spend some time bringing you back gently. And for some people, when they end a file, they may feel like I know some people that go straight to sleep afterwards, where some listeners will feel extremely energized and feel a sense of fulfillment, and that gives them some energy. But most of the time, it's a very pleasurable experience afterwards. I know that when I meditate, I feel so rejuvenated in my core. And, erotic hypnosis is like that, just rejuvenation in your core. And now we're going to move on to segment 3, which is my beginner friendly techniques that you can try with erotic hypnosis files. So now that you understand the basics, let's talk about how you can explore some tips that I particularly have and that should be easy to follow. So, one of my tips is to set the right atmosphere. So, before you even press play on that file, I think it's essential to create the right environment, set the mood. I I often love to talk about having a date with yourself, like even light a candle or put on your favorite kind of aromatherapy smells, dim the lights, make your bed, really take yourself on a date. But I definitely suggest a quiet, comfortable space. And if you can, hopefully a place where you can be free of distractions. So, whether that's in a bed, a cozy chair, or even reclining on the floor, just make sure you're comfortable and able to allow the experience to happen. Like I said, dim the lights, use soft lighting because lighting plays a big role in setting the tone. When you dim the lights or use candles or soft lighting, you're already creating a soothing environment. And the dimmer the light, the easier it is to let go. If you're able to, put your phone on do not disturb. It's just best if you can create an environment where you're not going to be interrupted. It's going to be, like I said, like a environment that you would bring a first date home to. Start with my next tip is starting with short sessions. If you're a beginner, don't feel the need to dive into hour-long sessions right away. Start with the shorter ones, 15 to 20 minutes, perfect for getting the hang of it. The shorter sessions allow you to focus fully on the experience without getting too overwhelmed, without setting yourself up for failure. And then you can gradually work your way up to longer sessions when you become more comfortable at the process. Another really big tip is focusing on your breath. So, one of the easiest ways to enhance your experience while listening to erotic hypnosis files is focusing that breath. So, as you listen to the induction, really try to take slow, deep breaths, inhaling through your nose, exhaling out your mouth. And with each breath, allowing your body to relax further and your mind becoming more receptive to suggestions. And something you can kind of tell yourself, and you can practice this even without a file, even on your own, because it's kind of the basics of meditation. So as you inhale, feeling your body fill up with relaxation, allowing your muscles to loosen, and then exhaling, think about releasing any tensions or distractions that may be on your mind. So, really being mindful in that. And while I inhale, I can feel the relaxation, I can feel my muscles loosening. And when I exhale, I'm releasing all the tension, all the stress of my day, because breath work really does help deepen that trance state. And also, it enhances physical sensations during the file. This is totally without outside of hypnosis. There's a lot of breath work that you can do when you are masturbating or having sex with a partner that is really going to bring some amazing sensations to your genitals. That's a whole nother episode. But my next tip is to use positive reinforcement and trust the process. Because here's the thing, I think it's common for beginners to feel a little bit skeptical, unsure whether hypnosis is working. When you listen to erotic hypnosis, focus on the positive sensations and reinforce within yourself that you're doing exactly what you need to do to enjoy the experience. And then as you go deeper into the trance, affirm to yourself lightly that you are allowing yourself to experience pleasure, relaxation, and giving yourself the chance to explore. Keep an open mind, trust the process, and know that the more you practice and trust the experience, the deeper and more immersive it will become. My next tip for beginners is to experience with different files and different artists. So there's a wide variety of erotic hypnosis files available, like a ton. And as a beginner, I would recommend starting with gentle kind of files. Like, don't hop into a major mind fuck kind of file. Start with like the more gentle ones. And usually, artists are very good at tagging their things or putting that in their descriptions of their files, the summaries. Try out different files because basic inductions may or may not work for you. A fantasy exploration may or may not work for you. Sensory enhancement may or may not work for you. We're all different. So, our mind and body are going to respond to the different kinds of styles or the different themes a lot different. Like, I've heard guys say that they can only get really deep when there's a lot of humiliation going, where I know men that are like, no, they would never. That pulls them out. So it's really dependent on you And I think there's some value in finding a right fit of hypnotists. So, you know, does their voice or is their voice really easy for you to listen to? Do you like the way that they talk? Um, do you like the way that they deliver the file? And then also there's the actual script, like some people just use scripts from the script writers, some hypnotists write their own stuff. It's finding what fits you best. And then lastly, my last tip is to practice mindfulness and stay present. So when you're listening to an erotic hypnosis file, it's important to stay present in that moment, but not too present. Not like, I think a very often thing when you're listening for the first time, oh my God, is it working? Am I in trance now? That's a little bit too present, but really just staying in the moment, connect to the experience. Try not to let your mind wander to other things. It will naturally, especially at first. Instead, focus on the words that you're hearing, the sensations in your body, the overall experience, because being present allows you to get the most out of the session. I know that as a creator of hypnosis files, there are a lot of things, as in the words that I'm saying, the tone of my voice, the binaural beats that I chose, the whispers in the background that are being looped, those are all chosen very strategically. So if you're being fully present, you're getting the most out of, say, my session. And then your subconscious mind becomes more open to to the suggestions when you're fully engaged in the moment. If your mind does start to wander, or you feel like you're not fully in it, like simply bring your focus back to your breath or the voice that you're listening to and allow yourself to relax even deeper, knowing that the experience is meant to be pleasurable and easy. And I think there's a lot of value in not putting a lot of pressure on yourself or on the experience. Like, I have seen too often, I want this to happen so bad. I want to know what this is like. You know, that's too much pressure. I think that a better way to approach that is softly telling yourself, I I am going to approach this erotic hypnosis file with an open mind. And if I'm able to fall into trance and have a mind blowing orgasm, I welcome it with open arms, whatever. But having the extreme pressure for it to work, I don't think you're ever going to get great results with that. Having zero expectations, except that you're going to simply let the process happen, is the best bet. I also, I should include this in the first tip. Headphones are highly suggested because there are some really fun things happening. A good hypnotist will have some vocal effects that are going to make it easier to fall into their voice. Um, and then it just when I hear music in headphones versus like on a speaker, yeah, it just hits different. It just hits different. So headphones are almost a must. But those are my simple, beginner friendly techniques that I hope that you can start enjoying erotic hypnosis files, enhancing your experiences right from the start. But definitely remember, it's all about creating the right atmosphere, staying open minded, and trusting the process. And I strongly believe that with a little practice, you'll be able to deepen your experience and enjoy all the benefits that erotic hypnosis brings. And now that brings us to the end of this Erotic Hypnosis for Beginners episode. I hope that today's episode will help to make you feel a little bit more comfortable with the idea of erotic hypnosis if you've been curious about it. And I hope that it's provided a very clear understanding of what it is, how it works, how to explore it on your own. If you haven't already, I highly suggest that you give my erotic hypnosis files a chance. Click the link in the bio, and that should take you to numerous places I post free content. And you can kind of check out what I have to offer and my style of hypnosis. I also am happy to answer any questions that you may have if you are starting your erotic hypnosis journey. But thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm excited to guide you through this journey into the world of erotic hypnosis. And I can't wait to hear about your experiences if you dive deep and have a lot of wonderful effects. So until next time, remember to relax, let go, and enjoy the adventure ahead. And that's a wrap for this episode of The Slut Next Door, where we dive deep into the raw, unapologetic truths of human desire. If you loved what you heard today, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a juicy moment. Want to connect with me outside the podcast? Click the link in my bio, where you can find lots of juicy content and options. Until next time, I'm Beatrix Vale, your Slut Next Door, and I'll see you in the next episode.